Good afternoon, and thank you, Anas, for setting the stage for what I think promises to be a very long-term and a very, very symbiotic kind of partnership. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Over the past year, as we work with the group team of the youth series across all three iterations, the under 30, the under 35, and the under 40 list, we found ourselves returning to one recurring observation. The fabric of entrepreneurship in India is changing. It's very, very visible because today we are seeing founders reach a very meaningful scale at a much earlier juncture in their careers. Along with this scale comes a new set of responsibilities, clearly decisions which have been taken at these junctures, at this particularly critical juncture, shape the way their businesses, the way markets, the way the organization, of course, the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country evolves. It's very interesting, but if you look at the total set of series across the youth partition that we've created, I think this shift is very, very visibly reflected. Today, we'll be equipped with people who are part of this list. We realize that they're creating very formidable businesses. And the good part is that this is a very multi-sectoral kind of approach, because unlike some of the other economies that we see globally, today we see a very secular trend emerging across different markets and different themes, different industries. The good part is that we now see a corporation at scale. Anas talked about how the entrepreneurs featured in this list have gone to create a remarkable number of jobs. How they've attracted long-term capital, and how innovation is being developed by countries like these. It's very interesting, but if you look at just the top 5 youth series companies, they employ more than 500,000 people. More 45% of the companies the youth series participates are valued at more than $500 million. And if you look at the top 5 startups which are featured in the youth series, they've collectively raised over $10 billion of capital. These are very, very compelling numbers, and I think they indicate the strength not just of the strong acquisition culture that we have, but also of economy. I think this is also highlight how these young entrepreneurs are kind of shaping the economy and its future. What sets out very, very clearly to us when we look at this report is the parent power distribution. The fact that 4 out of top 5 entrepreneurs featured in this across these lists are first generation entrepreneurs, I think is a very, very compelling narrative. To my mind, it just goes to show the strength of the opportunities available in India. It's very interesting that the top 5 IITs have contributed nearly 1/4 of the people on this list, which I think is a remarkable, we created a remarkable machine over there, which is turning out entrepreneurs on a regular basis. To me, this is a big shift. That these are people who maybe started off as job seekers, but over a period of time have actually evolved into job creators. I think that's very remarkable. And same time, when you look at the next generation years, I think it's remarkable because, there's a mention of people in this list who are actually the 5th generation entrepreneurs from the farming families. This goes to show how, family-led businesses are actually evolved. These are people who are taking on either larger responsibilities in the family businesses or over a period of time can't be very vertical integration efforts. And this to me is a very, very symbolic shift which we are witnessing in even family set of businesses. It's very interesting, but if you look at the number of next generation leaders beyond the third generation, that number is adding up to 50 out of 436, which is a reasonable percentage of people who are actually third generation or beyond when it comes to the entrepreneurship culture in the country. And it goes to show that value creation is something which is very much a part of their DNA. Anas talked about awareness, and I'd take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Hurun. Very surreptitiously, Anas, I would if you realize this, but both Hurun report and awareness were actually inserted in the year 1999. I don't know if you noticed that. I think we have almost the same, that was the same period of time merger these. And again, if you look at Avendus Wealth and Hurun India, they were inserted, we gave a few months apart. I mean, we started off in 2010 and Anas launched the Hurun India initiative in 2012. So it's interesting that I think both these organizations have actually seen the entrepreneurship journey in India from very close quarters over to first quarter of a century of this period. And actually, as we work more extensively with founders and with entrepreneurs, we realize that there are moments of transition in their journeys. These moments of transition are actually where it brings out the best in them, and conversely, it also brings out the best in us. Because this is where we extend our partnership with them even more. We help them at the time of raising capital. We help them at the time of dilution. We help them at the time of building, a diversified portfolios need. And we, of course, also help them at the time of transition of assets to the distribution. Because we've had such a rich culture of entrepreneurship in this country, we thought this was a good time for us to step back and look at this entire set of leaders through slightly wider lens. And today, I think the report allows us to see how they have evolved their ambitions, how they have started thinking about sustainability, governance, and continuity from their business standpoint. The youth series was essentially designed to capture this entire potential. In fact, I remember when Anas and Ardeen interacted on the idea of youth series, and Anas mentioned you want to do something around with entrepreneurs on the 30 and the 40. My first question was, why don't I say not other than the 30 and the 30 on the 40 and 40 list? But then maybe actually, any architected his vision about what the list wishes to capture, and we realize that we're actually doing something which is very, very good. Because genuinely, you feel these entrepreneurs who are featured in these three lists will essentially act as inspirations to a new set of entrepreneurs which would come. The numbers that I just mentioned in terms of youth entrepreneurs just across India, across the other markets in the world, I think is a remarkable merit. Just goes to show that today people are taking to entrepreneurship much, much earlier in their journey just compared to what we've seen in the West. There's been extremely positive response to the youth series. We've actually seen a lot of people who have been highlighted and have gone on the social media and have posted about the fact that they're featured in these lists. I think this just reinforces our beliefs that whether you're a founder, you're an investor, or you are any other stakeholder, today you're making a creative which is going beyond quarterly reviews. It is actually similarly, the fact that today you're here to build long-term sustainable businesses. And that is something which to my mind is another remarkable shift that we have been missing across partners over decade. At Avendus Group at Kalabi, just to let to talk a little bit about us, we've actually seen wealth management as something which is very closely intertwined with the entrepreneurial journey. Today, it's not just about simply managing wealth. It is also about understanding the aspirations of these founders. It is also about helping them navigate the kind of uncertainty which, we have clearly in the which talk today. It is helping the path for succession. And it is essentially in terms of helping them build institutions which we feel will endure the test of time. Be part of a leading financial services group allows us to take a much more holistic perspective when it comes to engage with these founders and addressing various needs that they may have, whether these needs pertain to them at their business level or at an individual personal level. We are very, very proud to be associated with Hurun. And, we are looking for bringing some of these stories to the forefront. As we release the first edition of the youth series, you would see some remarkable instances of either first or subsequent generation entrepreneurs who've clearly articulated more their growth journeys have been. And through the youth series, we aim for perspectives which will reflect how the entrepreneurial leadership in India is evolving and how it will face the next, initiate the next phase of growth in our place. On that, thank you so much for the opportunity to drive with you. We're looking for your questions and we're looking for your company work. Thank you.